So in our research workshop, you're not the students yet. This is how it's kind of set up as far as dividing out your time that that you have. In the ELA classroom, we have 100 minutes. We divide that into two 50-minute workshops, a reading workshop and a writing workshop. In the content area classroom, when you're doing the research workshop, you would have a time to do a mini lesson. This is where you're teaching kids how to take notes. You're teaching kids, how to read and understand that informational text that you have for them. So you're doing something where you're demonstrating for them how to do what you want them to do. Then you have a chunk of time where they're going to be doing that independent research. As they're doing that research, you're going around to kids and conferring with them, and that conferring is where you're sitting down beside them and seeing how they're doing with doing the research, and if they need some help, then you're teaching them at that point. Like one of the things that Kim noticed not long ago when we were doing some talking, she noticed that there were some kids who she was teaching them how to take notes, but they were writing too much. So she saw, that it wasn't a note. It was basically they were copying, most information. So she saw some kids who needed to be, have some more teaching on how to take notes. So that would be the kinds of things you would be paying attention to as they're researching. You're paying attention to how are they going about successfully doing the research. And then at the end of that, you have a short time where they can share out information that they are, they're finding in the research that they're doing. This follows what high progress classrooms do with their time. So the teachers in high progress classrooms spend 5 to 10 minutes preparing students to read, write, research. They spend, now this is based on an hour of time, but it's about 75% of that time that you have them, then they are spending that time reading, writing, researching. Then they have 5, minutes where they share out their research. Now this is not based on a research workshop. That's why you see read, write. It was based on maximizing time for teaching kids how to read and write. You're teaching kids how to research. So, and of course, as I said earlier, while the students were reading, writing, or researching, the teacher worked with students in small groups or individually side by side at their seat. We are in a 7th grade science classroom. We're in Alan's classroom. And Alan is not going to let me know how much I really botch up the information of the content. He's really going to help me out here. But in 7th grade science, one of the big topics is on the human body systems and disease. And the standard, for that big topic is that the student will demonstrate an understanding of the functions and interconnections of the major human body systems, including the breakdown in structure or function of that disease causes for each one of those body systems. So what we're going to do today, first of all, I want you to think about, in terms of, we've been studying, I'm going to just back up a minute so you're not looking at that. We've been studying the human body systems, and it's not our first day on this. We've been, exploring each one a little bit, and so we've got some general knowledge of the human body systems. And you're going to be doing research on one of those human body systems. Now each person can't write about every single one of those and can't research every one of them. But we have the big idea of the human body systems, how they interact with each other, how disease, affects these body systems, and, how do they function to make us human beings. So what I would like for you to do in your research notebooks, let me flip this over to that. In your research notebooks, I want you to first of all start making a table of contents. And we're going to begin with this, choosing a topic for research, narrowing down the topic. Now that's all I want you to put down right this minute, is just that first part. Roman numeral 1. Let me find something I can cover that with. Choosing a topic for research, narrowing down the topic. Because as I said, just human body systems is way too big, too broad of a topic for everybody to write about. So, now that you know that this is, it might be page, in my notebook I've left about 6 pages here where I can continue my table of contents. So that's why I said on page 5 is where I'm actually beginning. Okay. First thing I want you to do is, turn to whatever page you are beginning your notebook in and beginning this first mini lesson on narrowing down your topic. And this is a strategy that I'm going to teach you today. First thing I want you to do is I want you just to start making a list of all the human body systems that are popping into your mind that we've been talking about. I'm only going to give you about 1 minute to do that. So quickly jot down a list of all the body systems that are coming to your mind that we've been talking about in science. Okay, now Troy's already started doing something that I was going to let everybody do, and that is, I want at your table to share your list. Now, listen to this part. You're going to share your list that you've made, and as you're listening to one person share their list, if they mention one of the systems, you say, oh yeah, we did study that, add that to your list. So each person share their list of anything new. So the first person's going to have a pretty extensive list, then the next person share anything that person didn't have, and then etc. Okay, how many of you added to your list as others shared their list? Okay, so that's one of the things that we do know is that many times it doesn't pop into our heads, immediately all the things that we, know that we've been talking about, and something popped in somebody else's head that didn't pop into ours. But we all studied all of these. Yeah. Okay. Now I want you, as an individual, to look over your list, and I want you to start thinking now in terms of the list that you made, and this is my list that I have here. I want you to draw a chart that looks like this. The ones that I know a lot about, I know some about, I know a little about. And you're just going to make a chart and, just draw that out. I know a lot about, I know some about, I know a little about. And then categorize your list. I'm going to show you an example of a student using this same strategy, but it wasn't even about science. So what I want you to get from this is that here's a strategy, and we're not through with the strategy yet, but this is something we can do no matter what topics we're talking about. Here is an example where, just this student was just thinking in terms of, first of all, she had made a list of just things she knew about. Just what are things you know something about? So she made her list. Then she categorized her list. I know a lot about the Roman Empire. I know a lot about cooking. I know a lot about chemistry. I know a lot about, is that Maya? The Mayan. Yeah, Mayan Indians. I know about the human body. Then what she knows some about architecture, inventions, not sure what that word is, baking, lasagna, materials. Oh, okay. And then, the equipment, war tactics. So what she did was she took this topic that she knew a lot about, and she put, I know some about these subcategories of this. I know a little about these subcategories of this. I think that's the way she did that. But we just categorized our list right now. So it'll be used in some different ways here. All right. Now the next step in this is I want you to look at the list, the first two lists, the ones that you know a lot about and the ones that you know some about. And first of all, the ones that you know a lot about are probably going to be the ones that you would start writing about first. But you're going to choose one of those topics, one of those human body systems, and now you're going to start writing entries in your notebook, in your research notebook here. And you are to write the entire time until I say writing is over. When you finish writing all you have to say about one of those systems, then skip a line and choose another one and write everything you can think about that you know about, and you keep writing. When you finish saying everything you want to say about that one, then skip a line and choose another one. So you just keep writing entries until writing time is over today. Okay, I'd like to bring everybody together for a moment. Our workshop is not done, but this is what I would like for you to do at this point with your quick writes that you've done. I want you to look over the list that you have, and I want you to put stars by the ones that you thought, okay, this is a possibility of one that I want to research. Now, this was not to find out that you already knew everything, but just to get you to start thinking in terms of what do I already know some about. And it could be that you base your decision on what I already know a good bit about. It could be that you're basing your decisions on, all right, these are some that I thought I knew something about, but I'm finding out I really don't know, so I need to do some more research. I need to learn more deeply about these. So in your quick writes, mark, just put a star, or you can prioritize, okay, this would be my number one choice, this would be my number two choice, this would be my number three. Just kind of, you organize or mark somehow. These would be some possibilities for the topics, which body systems I want to write about. I want to do some research on. Now, remember, when you start doing your writing, you are going to be doing research, so you're going to be learning more about this.
How do we choose the ones that we want to write about? Are these ones that we don't know a lot about, or ones
Either way, it could be, that you can base it on either one of those ways. I'm going to choose ones that I already know a good bit about. I want to go deeper. Or I'm going to choose ones that I'm saying that I don't have too much information here. I need to learn some more about this. So whichever way you want to go with it. Okay, and we're not done yet, so this is just another step in the process for narrowing our topics. Okay? Okay, so you've marked some of that. All right, so now this is the next thing we're going to do. While there are a lot of human body systems, in our school, or in my classroom, I just have just so many resources, or resources on, so many different topics. So another part of this is looking at the available resources that we have, and that's also going to help us determine which topic we're going to choose. If I chose to write about the respiratory system and we had no information on that, maybe one book, that's not going to be a good choice for me. So the available resources is going to be one of the determining factors for, again, helping to narrow down what we're going to write about. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put some stacks of resources, and they're mixed up. One of the things you're going to have to do is I'm going to, I think what I'll do is I'll put, a stack here. I have 4 stacks, so I'm going to put a stack here, 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 and here. And this table, kind of divide up and join these two. This table, divide up and join these two. Now, what you're going to do is you, as a table, are going to look through the stack that you have and sort these into topics. Then, as a whole class, we're going to combine. And, somebody's going to be able to have, I've got some tubs over here, I've got some blank paper. We're going to decide, as a class, what topics we actually have available resources on, combining everything that we have. So, as a table, you'll sort into the different topics, and then as a class, we'll combine those. So somebody will say, oh, okay, I think one of their topics is going to be the respiratory system. And so somebody is going to find, okay, what did y'all have? Some information on the respiratory system. We combine all of that, we put it in a tub, and we make a label for that. And there's our resources for the respiratory system. Okay? Now, let's talk about, before we move into doing that, let's talk about how we might go about making a determination as to what the topic might be. So I have an article here, and as I look at that article, if I'm trying to think about which one of the body systems this article might go in. First thing I'm going to do is read the title, and then I'm going to be, looking at, some of the subheadings that are here, and see if I can't figure out what I think it is as far as it's going to go in this pile. It's going to go with this human body system. So I've got lungs in trouble, and it's mentioning bronchitis, pneumonia, pleurisy, asthma, when lungs stop working, they're showing an iron lung here. Oh, remember, Superman was it Christopher Reeve, yeah. Reeves. When he had, what was it? It was a horseback riding accident he had. And it's talking all about, lungs here. So my thinking right now is that this would go in a stack that would go with the respiratory system. So that would be where I would put this one. Now, in nonfiction, many times the title is going to give us a huge clue, but then sometimes the title is a little bit, something they put to make us just start thinking, but we're not sure. So we have to look at the other parts of it to help us make that determination. Looking at, any headings that we have, looking at illustrations that we have, and see, if that helps us figure out where to put it. And if we start reading the article after we put it in that stack, we say, you know what? I thought this went with the respiratory system, but it doesn't. It needs to go with the circulatory system.
Can part of that article go in one?
It could be that it does that. So what you would do then is you might say, you know what? This part of it went with respiratory system. And then whoever's doing circulatory system would say, guess what? I've got some information that might help you guys too. So yes, we could have something that goes into both. Okay, so here's the next step in our process. Now we're going to see what resources we had available and see which ones we wanted to do some research on. And so you need to, now as we go through, we'll go through and name, see what we had resources on, and then we'll talk about, all right, so if I wanted to research this topic, do we have resources to support that? And if we don't, there's no need in me choosing that topic, okay? Because, that's just the way it is, and, as to what we have available right now. All right, and as we build, then what we might see is, okay, so what I'm finding as a teacher, here are some gaps. Here are some places we need some resources. All right, so, and as a media specialist, we would see, here are some gaps. Here's some places we need resources because they support the content areas. All right, so one area we found that we had some resources was the nervous system. So if that was one of the areas that you had marked, that's one possibility. We have the digestive system. We've got resources for that. The respiratory system, skeletal system, circulatory system, the muscular system, and I love this one down here, multi. Okay, now, we couldn't have a topic named multi because what we said was that's too broad. But this is perfect because we want to have some red herrings in there for our kids to have some discussion around. Why didn't this one, and I saw Troy walking around with this one a good bit, why didn't this one, the magic school bus inside the human body, why didn't this one fit in any one of those?
Because it doesn't all.
Because it's got a little bit of information about all of them, but it isn't a book just on any one of them, is it? So we want kids to have to think, okay, will this fit in any one of these? No. Will it give me maybe a little bit of information on several different ones? Yes. So it's a resource we want to put out there, but it's not going to fit in one of our boxes. And it's kind of like, Wayne was talking about earlier when he said, so what if something has information on one and information on another one? Yeah, this falls into that category where it's got information about a lot. A little bit of information about a lot, but not a whole lot of information. Some of the articles that you, I left them over here. Some of the articles that were put in there actually came from some books that have like a section on each one of the body systems. And this one, human body systems, no, it wouldn't go in any one, but there's a chapter on each body system. So that was put into, as an article. Then, the human body had each one of the body systems. So that became one of the articles to go in there. So, now that we have, see what, which ones are our, the topics we have information on. We see which ones we're thinking in our mind. I want to do research, possibilities for these. Now what I want you to do is write down your number 1 choice, your number 2 choice, and your number 3 choice, based on the information you have at this point. We're only going to have, at the most, 4 people, using researching a particular topic. In the classroom, I would take up the number 1, number 2, number 3 choices, and I would create the groups based on that. Every now and then, it might be that I say, these 2 students do not need to be in the same group together. So this one's gonna get their number 2 choice this time, and this one gets the number 1, and I'll make a little notation next time this one gets their number 1 choice. So they still have choice there, but as a teacher, I know some students just do not need to be together. So I would make this decision. That's how we're doing for our workshop today. We've all narrowed down, we've looked at all the possible choices. We've done some quick writes to see what we know or think we know. We have, we categorize those as to what we thought we knew more about, a little bit about, etc. Did the quick writes. We made some decisions as to what we were thinking we wanted to write about, and then we narrowed down even further by looking at the choices for resources that we had. So everybody has a topic now, and that is the end of our research workshop today. Okay. Put your teacher hat on now and think through. I just kind of laid out what we did as far as coming to the decision as to what the topic was going to be. What I want you to do is look at, you have standards handouts, and there's one for the for the science, social studies, technical, and then there's the ELA, reading and writing. And the reading and writing, you have a spiral, but you can still look at these. I want you to think in terms of what we did in this workshop and what standards would we have been focusing on for the teaching that was done. Now, what we didn't have, which my soup table over here figured out what we didn't have. One of the things that we did not have was the non-print sources. We are only looking at print sources today. But we definitely have to include non-print sources. Video clips, photographs. We've got to teach kids how to gather information from those kinds of sources.